past all this bit anyway. But obviously that brings us to why there's a big Star Wars theme around it. So your artist name is Beskar. So if you are watching Star Wars at the minute, there's been a lot of references to that in The Mandalorian, hasn't there? So what made you choose that name? And if you just want to tell people about it as well and why that's familiar with Star Wars fans.
I mean, there isn't really a great story behind it. I went under a different alias for like a long time, and then I decided, that I wanted to focus primarily on drum and bass. And in order to do that, I thought the best thing to do would just be to change my name. And at the time, it was just after the first Mandalorian season had come out, and I was trying to think of names that were kind of Star Wars related, because in my head, I was kind of like, I love Star Wars and I love like music and especially drum and bass, and it was like, how can I fuse these two loves basically? And it was just a cool word. It's a name for like the metal that the Mandalorians used to craft their armor out of. And I don't know, I just thought it was a cool sounding name basically. That's as simple as it gets. And for my first few like releases, I tried to like, up until very recently, nearly all of my like titles of my tracks have been Star Wars related as well.
Is that every single one as well? I mean, I know the two new ones on Dirtbox, which is Wilhelm Scream, that's a Star Wars reference, and Mount Arrakis, is that right?
I don't know. Yeah, Mount Arrakis or something.
Mount Arrakis. So they're Star Wars reference, but has every single track up till now been a Star Wars reference name then?
I don't think so. I think like I said, for my first 2 or 3 releases, they were. No, there has been basically every time I've done anything that's been a feature in or a collab, I've not made it like an absolute rule. And I definitely have stuff coming out later this year that's even solo stuff that isn't Star Wars related, because it was kind of, I'll do it as much as possible, but it's kind of restricting, and especially because I've been starting working a lot more with vocalists and stuff like that. So you want the lyrics to be basically what the song's about.
Yeah, you don't need a female singer going on about May the 4th and Star Destroyers and stuff, do you? Really?
Well, you say that, but then my two, I've got a double. I've got an AB coming out on Program in like a few months' time, and both of those tracks have the same female vocalist, and both of those tracks are like the lyrics I wrote them are all about Star Wars.
So there's 2 tracks of yours here. I've got your discography open, and I'm going to question a couple of these because I don't even know if these. Thunder Wasp, is that Star Wars related?
Yep. So that is the name of Grand Admiral Thrawn's ship.
Oh, right, okay. And the jungle. This has got to be Star Wars. The Jungle of Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk. So Kashyyyk is the planet that Chewbacca is from. So that, okay. Funny enough, I just quickly about that track was quite funny. Was basically I seen that Deep in the Jungle were doing another Jungle Wars LP, and I like those LPs anyway. But I was like, I seen on Facebook basically saying that it's like last few days to like get your submissions in, and I was just like, I need to be on this. Like it makes sense. So like I was actually in the shower that morning, and like that's got like a hook in it, and I just like was singing it in the shower, and I like literally went into the studio, recorded that hook, and made that track within about 8 hours, like self-mastered it and just sent it to DJ Hybrid, and he signed it straight away. And like he was well happy because he was like, anything else Star Wars related, send it my way. And I was like, well, all my stuff's Star Wars related, so
could have got an exclusive signing with you there then possibly. But good label to be on though, isn't it? Hybrid's absolutely smashing things with that label. So
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all subgenres of drum and bass. Jungle is probably not my least favorite, but it's actually what got me into drum and bass. But I find it a little bit boring to produce. So, like I do enjoy doing the occasional track here and there, but I think I don't ever see myself doing a full Jungle EP to send to Hybrids. But if he's doing VAs and stuff, I'll definitely send him tracks.
So what are you going to do when you run out of Star Wars names? Do you think that's going to be possible?
No, the universe is too big, I think.
And they'll keep making new stuff, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, and it's like I read a lot of the books. Most of my actual like names that I've come up with are stuff that's in novels rather than the movies, because the movies are pretty limited, but the expanded universe is so massive that it's like, yeah, the vocal that's on that Mount Arrakis is like, that is actually a line from a book, and I like the name of I like the sound of the name, so I've got like a text file on my phone where every time I hear one, I write it down, kind of thing, and then I can look back at it. And I actually I think I googled it, or like I googled it like just because I wanted to know a bit more about it. And on like Wikipedia, which is the Star Wars Wikipedia, it's called Wikipedia. It had that excerpt from the book, but it also had like a clip from the audiobook, which is actually the vocal the sample that I use in that track is like that's a sample from that Star Wars audiobook.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, I think out of all the names that you chose, though, for your actual artist name, Beskar's got to be one of the coolest ones, hasn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, it just works. It just sounds really cool, and it's like, and it's quick and it's simple, and you know, I feel like it sounds cool even if you don't know anything about Star Wars. But then people that like Star Wars will like,